Let us talk about software testing today. And the main issues will be there are many testing techniques. See, there are various techniques. Some techniques are common to all, but some techniques are specific. Okay, that means these testing techniques have been devised or were used, employed, and been developed for specific reasons. So all the techniques, all the testing you should not know, but basic techniques which each and every software product or even the hardware product should actually incorporate, or you must employ it here on the product testing. This you should learn. One thought is that only the final code is tested, but we'll see that what happens actually. There's a question. Suppose you are being asked to lead the team to test the software that controls a new X-ray machine. Would you take that job? Would you take it if you could name your own price? And what if the contracts say that you'll be charged with murder in case the patient dies because of malfunctioning of the software? Okay. Now this is a question that you'll be charged for the death. So we'll talk about the preliminaries, all sorts of test techniques, comparison of the test techniques, and software reliability. Now this is very important aspect. This is a very favorite question of interviewers, software reliability. So the state of the art, 30 to 85 errors are made per 1000 lines of source code. Extensively tested software, they contain zero point 0.3 to 3 errors per 1000 lines of source code. Even the extensively tested source or software, they may contain this number of errors per 1000 lines of source code. Testing is postponed as a consequence. That is, the later an error is discovered, it will be more costly to fix it. So rather than going to the end and doing final testing, it is better to test it everywhere so that the error must not come at the later stages because it will be very costly. So error distribution, 60% design. Error distribution is in 60% error is in design, 40% in implementation, and 66% of design errors, they are not discovered until the software has actually become operational. 66%, this is a huge number. This is the relative cost of error correction. If you do it at the design stage, rather at RE, that is the requirement engineering. So this will be a cost. Design, the cost will be somewhere here. The code somewhere here. Testing, but operation, it will be from this point to this one. So at operation level, if you want to correct, the cost will be huge. So what we have learned, many errors are made in the early phases. This is known because you're not aware, you're doing it for the first time, and maybe you have new programmers, etc. These errors are discovered late. Errors which are committed or made in the earlier phases, they are discovered late. This is the main point. So repairing those errors is costly, very costly. So it pays off to start testing real early, or I should say, before you even plan the project, you should be very observant about the testing you are going to do and the testing strategy you are going to adapt and really pressurize or thrust on the testing. So how then to proceed? Exhaustive testing. This most often is not feasible. If you have various numbers, say 1 to 100, and you want the variable can take value from 1 to 100, or you are allowing 1 to 100, you are checking from 1, 2, 3, 4 until 100. This is exhaustive type of testing. This is not feasible. You can test at 1, you can test at 50, you can test at 100. This is what is desirable. So random statistical testing does not work either if you want to find errors. So even the random statistical testing does not work. Therefore, we look for some systematic ways to proceed during the testing. So let us first classify the testing techniques. Classification is based on the criterion to measure the adequacy of a set of test cases. Because testing will be done on the basis of certain test cases only. Okay. So these test cases, so classification will be based on the criterion to measure the adequacy of the set of test cases. So the test cases will define the classification. So first will be our coverage-based testing. Second will be fault-based testing, and then error-based testing. Coverage-based testing, fault-based testing, and error-based testing. Classification based on the source of information to derive test cases. Classification based on the criteria to measure the adequacy of set of test cases will be coverage-based testing, fault-based testing, and error-based testing. While the classification or the categorization, which is based on the source of information to derive test cases, the source of information to derive the test cases, and it could be your black box testing or the white box testing. Black box testing is a functional testing which is actually specification based, while the white box testing is the structural testing which is program based. So what exactly is an error? These are certain questions you need to know. How does the testing process look like? How it seems to be. When is test technique A becomes superior to test technique B? When is B is superior to A? What do we want to achieve during testing? What is our intent? And when to stop the testing? So error, fault and failure. An error is the human activity resulting in software containing certain fault. Error is because of human activity resulting in software containing a fault. Fault is the manifestation of an error. Fault is the manifestation or the consequence of error, you can say, is a result of an error. A fault may result. So when exactly is a failure a failure? When it is a failure now? See, failure is a relative notion. It is a relative notion. For example, a failure with respect to the specification document is also a failure. So verification, it evaluates a product to see whether it satisfies the condition specified at the start. That means, have we built the system right? Okay. Then comes the validation. We evaluate the product to see whether it does what we think it should do. That means, have we built the right system? System right or right system? This is the maiden flight of Ariane 5. We already talked about in the earlier discussion. Why it failed, what it failed, just as a basic error, programming error, has given rise to the catastrophe which has taken place. So testing process, P is the input, the test strategy, the subset of input, then we apply it, the expected output, the real output, the expected and real output are compared, and the test results are being formulated. So test adequacy, or whether test is adequate or not, this is the criteria we need to see. So test adequacy criteria, we see the specifics requirement for testing. That is, this can be used as stopping rule. Test adequacy criteria can be used as a stopping rule. So stop testing if 100% of the statement has been tested or the coverage is 100%. And test can be used, this test adequacy criteria, this criteria can be used as a measurement. A test set that covers 80% of the test cases is better than one which covers 70%. Then this criteria can be used as a test case generator. Look for a test which exercises some statement not covered by the tests so far. And a given test adequacy criterion and the associated test technique, these are opposite sides of the same coin only. So what is our goal during testing? First is, objective 1 is we want to find as many faults as possible. Objective 2 is make you feel confident that this software works fine. Okay, you are confident now because we have already found various errors and we have found as many errors or faults as possible. Not errors but faults. This is the example constructive approach. For example, a task is test module that sorts an array. You have an array from 1 to n values. So A contains integer, n is less than 1000. The solution is we can take n to be 0, 1, 37, 999 and 100. For n equal to 37999, take A as follows. How? A contains random integers, A contains increasing integers, or A contains the decreasing integers. Okay. So these are the equivalence classes. We assume that one element from such a class suffices. Okay. For n equal to 37 to 999, we consider them to be equivalence classes. We assume that one element from such a class suffices. So we don't want both of them to be checked. We'll just pick one from the equivalence classes. This works if the partition is perfect. You have partition, equivalence class partition is made perfect. So what about the testing model? Demonstration, we make sure that the software satisfies the specification. Destruction, that is, we try to make the software fail at any cost. And we evaluate, that is evaluation. We detect faults in early phases, and prevention, we prevent faults in early phases. So testing and the life cycle. First, requirement engineering is the first phase. So the criteria is the completeness, consistency, feasibility and testability. Typical errors in requirement engineering is missing, wrong or extra information. So we determine the testing strategy and we generate functional test cases. And we test the specification through, say, reviews and other strategies. So then comes the design. At this point or at this life cycle phase, design, the functional and structural test can be devised on the basis of the decomposition. Because in design, what happens? We decompose. we apply the SA and SD, software analysis and software design. Then we come and then we give rise to our structure charts. So the design itself can be tested against the requirement. We can evaluate using the formal verification techniques here. The architecture can be evaluated. So we come to implementation now. We check the consistency implementation in previous documents. Code inspection and code walkthrough is done. All kinds of function and structural test techniques are employed, and extensive tool support is being employed. And also we have some formal verification techniques. Then comes the maintenance. We apply the regression testing. So either we retest all or say some selective retest. Then comes the TDD, that is the test driven development. First we write the test, then we do the design and implementation. See, test driven development is that criteria or that approach where we first write the test. Then we go for design and implementation. This is a part of agile approach like extreme programming. It is supported by tools. Say JUnit is the tool which support this. So this is more than mere test technique. It subsumes part of the design work also. What are the steps which we take in a TDD? We add a test. Then we run all tests and see that the system fails. We make a small change to make the test work, and we run all tests again and see them whether they are running properly. Then we refract the system, or refactoring the system is done to improve the design and remove the redundancy. Okay. So in this case, as we have seen, these are the steps. Now we come to the test stages. We apply the unit testing and then integration testing. So these test stages are: first is your module or unit testing, module based testing, and integration testing. So this is bottom up. This can be bottom up. This can be top down testing. Okay. Then we apply the system testing. Then the final testing is acceptance testing, and finally the installation testing. Test documentation, because you need to make the IEEE 928 count. That is test documentation. As you have seen, 830 IEEE was a requirement specification. In the similar manner, IEEE has also directed the test documentation. IEEE 928 specifies it. So here we have a test plan, then test design specification, then test case specification, test procedure specification, test item transmittal report, and test log. So these are the content of the test documentation, that is IEEE 928. Let me again reiterate them. First you have a test plan, then design specification, test design specification, test case specification, test procedure specification, test item transmittal report, and the test log. Okay. Finally, the test incident report and then test summary report. So we have seen the preliminaries, and we'll see the all sorts of testing techniques, and we will see the manual techniques, the coverage based techniques, the fault based techniques, and error based techniques. Then we'll see the comparison of test technique, and we'll see the manual techniques first. Okay. Then we'll go to the software reliability. So what are these manual test techniques? So manual test techniques, there can be static test techniques or static analysis, versus we have dynamic analysis. So compiler does a lot of static testing by itself. Static test techniques is reading, that is informal, versus your peer review. So that is a kind of review. You can also perform the walkthroughs and inspections. The correctness proofs, that is pre and post condition, like pre and post conditions. Stepwise abstractions can be applied in static test techniques. So what about this inspection? We go through the code, statement by statement, line by line. So we have team around 4 members with specific roles. One is the moderator, which is doing the organization, or you can call it the chairperson. Then we have a code author. He is a silent observer. And there are 2 inspectors, readers, paraphrase the code. So it uses checklist for well-known faults. They know that faults can come where. They are aware of that. So the result is the list of problems which are encountered between or during the inspection. What can be the example checklist? Wrong use of data, that is variable is not initialized. Dangling pointer, array index out of bound. Then false in the declaration, that is undeclared variable declared twice. False in the computation, that is division by 0, mixed type expressions, wrong operator priorities. False in the relational expression, incorrect boolean operator, wrong operator priorities. False in the control flow, infinite loop that executes n-1 or n+1 times instead of n. So now we come to coverage based techniques. Coverage based techniques, the goodness is determined by the coverage of the software by the tests set so far. For example, the percent of statement or requirement tested. So in the testing, there are various if else, there will be for, there will be while, there will be various decision tree, there will be iterations. So we want to cover each true and false, all the conditions actually. So we want 100% coverage. That is not possible actually, but we often, this is based on the control flow graph of the program. There are three techniques: control flow graph, control flow coverage, data flow coverage, and coverage based testing of requirements. This is the example of control flow coverage. Here the input, if it is n equal to 2, a1 equal to 5 and a2 equal to 3. So this is correct. This is also correct. Right? Correct. This is how we see all the coverage. We need to see each and every line needs to be checked, verified, tick. Okay. So now ai equal to a minus 1 for n equal to 2, a equal to 1, a1 equal to 5, a2 equal to 3. This is correct. Right. Okay. Now this kind of each and every line of testing coverage should be 100%. All line has been checked. Then the control flow coverage. This is example is all nodes coverage or statement coverage example. It is a stronger criteria. All edges coverage and branch coverage needs to be done in this case. So variations exercise all combinations of elementary predicates in the branch condition, that is true and false. Strongest is the all path coverage, that is exhaustive testing. All path needs to be covered. Special cases, all linear independent path, that is the cyclomatic number criteria. So all linear independent paths needs to be covered. Then we talk about the data flow coverage. It looks how variables are treated along paths through the control flow. So it is data flow, that is variable in inclination. So variables are defined when they get a new value. The definition of statement x is alive in statement y if there is a path from x to y in which this variable is not defined as a new. Such a path is called a definition clear. So we may now test all definition clear paths between each definition and each use of that definition and each successor of that node. So all uses coverage needs to be done. So coverage based testings of requirements may be easily represented by the graph. So we are talking about the requirements, where the nodes represent the elementary requirements and the edges represent the relation between the requirement, like yes and no. So we apply the earlier coverage criteria to this graph. This is the example translation of requirements to a graph. Say a user may order new books. So he is shown a screen with fields to fill in. So certain fields are mandatory. One field is used to check whether the department's budget is large enough. If so, the book is ordered and the budget is reduced accordingly. So this is the enter field, notify user, all mandatory fields there, check budget, order book and notify user. This is the example translation of your requirement. This is your requirement into the graph. Okay, so this is how it is done. Similarly, with use cases or use case success scenario can be used. Enter field, all mandatory fields there, notify user, check budget, order book, notify user. So user fills in the form, books information is checked, department budget is checked, and order is placed, and user is informed. So this is the first part of the testing. We will be covering more of it in the next session. Thank you so much. Take care.